United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah. United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, my dear brothers and sisters, welcome to the show. I'm very happy to introduce you, Wasim Kemson. Alhamdulillah, we've been talking a little bit for a few hours and I already love you. Alhamdulillah, you're a brother in Islam and your story is amazing. You embraced Islam in the 90s in UK. And maybe we can start with your story and how did it happen for you, inshallah.
Barakallah feek. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love you. Brother Julian, it was a pleasure to meet you. And I embraced Islam 1994. I have to be honest with you that I haven't actually told my story of Islam in the English language before, ever.
Wow, so it's exclusive.
So it's extremely
just
exclusive.
For you tonight, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. I've done it in a couple of other programs in Arabic.
Oh, really?
I've never done it in English.
Fantastic.
However, what I will do is I will tell you the most important parts, if you like. I was brought up a Catholic with my mother and my brother. I went to Catholic school. Had quite a strict upbringing, although I wasn't forced to go to church every week. But the school itself was a very good school, and so therefore we were taught quite intensely about the religion. And then I always had an affiliation with religion. I used to like religion. I used to like watching religious films, Ten Commandments, King of Kings, Jesus of Nazareth.
MashaAllah.
I used to, at the back of the class, they used to have like these mini versions of the gospel. I used to take them home, look at them, Anyway, I went to college at the age of 16 and I met a brother who was originally from Afghanistan. I began to hang out with him. And then I realized, because we had lunch between 12 and 1, every day he'd spend half of that, somewhere else. And we'd have half an hour together. So I said, lunch is an hour. Why don't we spend, because I didn't know anybody else in the college. Why don't we spend the whole hour? He said, well, I pray. I said, okay, that's interesting. Well, every day? He said, well, yeah, I pray 5 times a day. And I was like, I couldn't, 5 times a day? I found it difficult to go to church once a week. Imagining somebody praying 5 times a day was amazing. Anyway, they had a prayer room inside the college. I went there, saw them praying. This was in 1993.
How many people in the room?
There was about between 10 and 15 brothers. Okay. They made the adhan, they prayed together. And then the way that they prayed, something just hit me. I just thought, that's a really nice way to pray, So then for about a year, I began to study, I began to read on and off, look at videos. I used to watch Ahmed Deedat. May Allah will have mercy upon him. And then after about a year, in October 1994, I embraced Islam. That's in a nutshell, really.
Very naturally.
Yeah, it came to a stage where really that I was looking for something. I was looking for, it was my choice, if you like. But they got to a stage where, and I believe this, that if a person really finds Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides that person, it no longer becomes a choice.
Right.
Because you realize that this is the only possible thing that how I want to live my life. It's not do I or don't I. This is I have to.
This is it.
This is it. I have to take this way of life.
And how did your family take it? I mean, they were Catholic. Like when you came back at home after your Shahada, how did you keep it secret for a while, or you straight away told your mom? So can you just share with us?
I mean, because my mother and father, they separated when I was very young, when I was about 5. So I lived with my mother. I used to visit my dad. He's not religious at all. Okay. He's agnostic, if you like. I mean, he believes in something, but
he doesn't know what.
No. My mother was, when I told her to become a Muslim, was a little, if you like, a little upset, I must say, because she thought somehow that I had, betrayal is a big word. Right. But somehow that I'd taken another path that maybe I'd rejected somehow, what our forefathers or her mother and so what we'd followed. It's like, why are you taking another way? Is it what I have? Is it not good enough for you? And I tried to explain to her, and until now I try to explain to her that, 95% of what you taught with me, I still have with me. good manners, treating people well, being generous, being kind, being compassionate. My mother taught me that, and I tried to tell her that all those things, those qualities we have in Islam. It's just that 5% in terms of straightening the belief in who Allah is and how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But after that, after a short time, we started, it was fine. We have a good relationship, speak every day.
MashaAllah. So. When people, judge Islam by Muslim, I say, look, when you go to a restaurant, you don't care who is eating the food. Mm-hmm. When you go there for the menu, the menu for us as Muslims is the Quran, right?
Sure.
And I know you've been studying the Quran quite extensively in Medina, mashallah. You've been telling me that you've been studying for 7 years, and I'm quite jealous, because when I embraced Islam, I was 30 years old and I couldn't make it, to Medina. And can you share with us, how was the experience? 7 years in the city of the Prophet, peace be upon him, it must be quite something. And what was the learning, and what helped you to be who you are today?
Sure. It's one of the greatest ni'mah after me accepting Islam, which is the greatest blessing that Allah gave to me. One of the next greatest blessings I can say for sure is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitating me, to go and live in Medina. I went and I started studying in Medina 3 years after I embraced Islam. I went there in 1997 and I stayed there to 2004. Went to the Arabic program, and then I went and studied in the faculty of Sharia. MashaAllah. Spent time with, a lot of great people who have had big influence on my life. Mm-hmm. And coming back to the UK has, enabled me to have an impact on and benefit people in the way that I really want. So, I got married there, had my children, some of my children were born there as well.
MashaAllah.
So it was a big part of my life. Living in Medina, it's, the greatest city for me to live in.
So what is the thing that you miss, from this place, and maybe some stories that happened to you that, because every time I talk to students of Medina, he has always amazing stories, experiences, with the deen and also with the people out there.
Yeah. Anyone who's gone to Medina, whether it's on a small trip for Umrah or Hajj, and they spent some time in Medina, then,
I was there last week, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So, again, I just want you to remind me, so I want to feel again, because I
haven't been there for 2.5 years.
MashaAllah. May Allah make it easy for you to come back.
That's like a lifetime. The Prophet ﷺ, made a dua, concerning Medina. When he left Mecca and the Muhajirun, they went to Medina, and he said, Allahumma habbib ilayna al-Medina kuhubbi Mecca, aw ashaddu hubba. That make Medina beloved to us, just like we love Mecca, but even a more intense and severe love. So whenever a person goes to Medina, they have that love for Medina, just subhanAllah, by the dua of the Prophet ﷺ.
It's true.
Yeah, so it's such a major part of my life. I've been a Muslim 21 years now. 7 of that, a third of it, was spent in Medina.
Right.
And the major events in my Islamic life all happened in Medina. So, I can't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough for that.
So you came back in 2004 in UK. Now, down the line, we're 11 years after. Do you see any change from the Muslim community back in 2004 when you came back here, and then now? Do you see some tremendous changes? For example, in France, when I was living in my city in Nantes, I couldn't see any sisters wearing hijab downtown. Now when I come back, it's full of it. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
So did you feel this type of same experience when you came back and now in 2015?
Yeah, definitely, since I first embraced Islam, and then coming back each year, and since I graduated in 2004 till now, that the Muslims, and the apparent, what you can see from the Muslims is much more than it used to be. The availability of students of knowledge, the availability of literature, books, lectures, that's, mashallah, we're saturated with so much information, beneficial knowledge, that is. But there is, unfortunately, the same differences of opinion, the same kind of arguments, the same sort of mentality that existed 15 years ago. It's unfortunate, it still remains in certain people. And I really think we still have a long way to go, if you like. Although we've made great strides in improving with institutes, Al-Kawthar, educating Muslims to a level that they never had before. We still have a long way to go.
Right.
Because I still think, that even though Islam is spreading far and wide, alhamdulillah, the vast majority of Muslims really still need to know what they have, that beautiful gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. They don't know really what they have, the value. And so therefore you think, there's a large portion of the Muslims, a large percentage of the Muslims that really, kind of just going with the movements from one day to the next,
Right.
So these are the kind of areas that we really need to focus on.
What other things do you think we should work on to be more united? Because this is really, I think, what we need to work on at this point in time,
Yeah.
Especially for the people who are not yet Muslim, to see us as, one community, and this is the dream of the Prophet, peace be upon him, right?
Yeah.
So any things that you want to share, like
I
some-
don't think the issue is very complicated.
Yeah.
The Prophet ﷺ gave us a model of how things should work, and you find that within the community, every type of person was catered for. The poor people, the Ahl al-Suffa, who didn't have very much, that the Prophet ﷺ allocated a place at the back of the masjid for them to stay. The people who came from the Bedouin people, when they came, they were given the information, looked after in the way that was suitable for them. Likewise, those who resided in Medina, those people who were merchants and businessmen, they were all given advice. Likewise, in our communities, there's different types of people. Not everyone is the student of knowledge. Not everybody is an imam. We have to realize that people are at different levels of knowledge, different levels of understandings, so we need to kind of get certain people, whoever's, whether it's educationalists, doctors, to cater for all these different types of people.
You're right. I think, when you are doing something that, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a gift, if you just apply it for the deen, for the dawah, you will be united, because you're working towards that. But if you haven't found it, then this is where the disunity can happen, because you just lost focus, you're still searching. So I think it's maybe something that each Muslim must try to find,
Yeah. And not to duplicate the work.
Yeah.
We don't ever want, 10 organizations doing the same job.
Exactly.
Different organizations, look at, if they're doing this job, okay, well, let's look at doing something different. So therefore we can look after everybody, not 10 organizations or 5 organizations focusing on one type of people. Try to, diverse.
So talking about organization, right after the break, I want to talk about what you're doing in UK. I know you're the Imam of a masjid, and we will ask you a question about that, inshallah. So stay with us and we'll be right back, inshallah.
United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah.
I found the truth.
I found the truth.
Я нашел правду.
J'ai trouvé la vérité.
Ich habe die Wahrheit gefunden.
Ik heb de waarheid gevonden.
Ho scoperto la verità.
He encontrado la verdad.
I found the truth.
Saya jumpa kebenaran.
I am Muslim.
I'm Muslim.
Я мусульман.
Je suis musulman.
Ich bin Muslim.
Ik ben een moslim.
Adesso sono musulmano.
Y por eso, ahora soy musulmán.
I'm a Muslim.
Sekarang saya Muslim.
ตอนนี้ค่อยเป็นมุสลิม
ربيعا أنت والعطر الرداء حرر النفس ولا تحيا هباء يا ربيعا أنت والعطر الرداء خذ قرارا وانطلق لا تنتظر ليس كل الناس أهل للعلاء خذ قرارا وانطلق لا تنتظر ليس كل الناس أهل للعلاء ليس كل الناس أهل للعلاء بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا لا تبالي فالمعالي بالتحدي لا سواه كن سعيدا كن فريدا عش بفخر في الحياة لا تبالي فالمعالي بالتحدي لا سواه بالتحدي لا سواه
United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah.
Welcome back to the show. And we're going to ask right now a very important question that I have in the back of my mind since I've been traveling in many Muslim countries regarding the role of an imam, you know, in the society. First, of course, in the masjid. And it seems to me, wherever I can be in Malaysia or Turkey, a lot of imams just deliver the 5 prayers and khalas, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
And I would like to hear from you, what do you think should imam do in the 21st century? Like, what do you think he should get busy at, apart from the 5 daily prayers?
Yeah. Well, our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's imamuna was like our first imam, if you like, or first person who took that position of any community. And you find that the Prophet Muhammad alayhi wasallam took responsibility not just to lead the 5 prayers, but was there as a guide, as a counselor, as a person to do so many things for the community. And I think, at least in Western countries, although you do find certain masajid, they have an imam who just does the 5 daily prayers. But our communities, you know, they need more than that. They need an imam to be more dynamic, to be able to engage with the community. And I would, you know, I think it's very important that the imam should be from that community who understands the different, you know, backgrounds of that community. It's very, very important, the language of the people, and not just to relegate it just to 5 daily prayers. And we need to really educate ourselves as the importance of the role of a masjid and the imam, because they're central to any Muslim community, is the masjid. And the person who is in that masjid in educating people needs to be of the caliber so that he can take that community forward, because essentially they can't rely on just the building, which is the masjid, of course, very important, but they rely on the people who are, you know, taking care of the affairs of the masjid so that they can really benefit to the best of, you know, what they need in that community.
Talking about taking the community forward, like, you know, I want to talk about the new Muslim who are entering in the community of Islam, and I know you are related to that, and you've been working with them. What are the experience and some advices you want to share to new Muslim who will be watching the show? And you know, what are you doing in this aspect?
Well, you know, the imam issue. There's a statement of the Prophet ﷺ that every Nabi, every Prophet was Ra'i al-Ghanam, used to look after sheep, like a shepherd. Now, obviously in the UK I can't be a shepherd, but being an imam, if you like, is the closest I can be to that.
Right.
So that you can see the different types of people, for all, you know, all walks of life. From that is, you know, those people who newly embrace Islam, which is very important. And the fact that I embraced Islam as well, I guess I have an affiliation with them to some extent. The challenges and the questions that they have, I can relate to that to some extent, although maybe their backgrounds may be a bit different from mine. But I can understand, you know, taking that step from not being a Muslim to now being a Muslim, and the challenges at the very beginning, that you have that lot of energy at the beginning, and then the reality of the decision that you've made really hits home, that yes, I'm going to pray 5 times a day, and I've literally changed my life. I would really advise sincerely that when a person embraces Islam, is not to rush, but to take things day by day, and to allow things to, you know, be part of you and take it naturally. Don't, you know, a very simple example I have is like a weightlifter. You know, you go to the gym. When you go to the gym, you don't stop thinking about picking up 200 kgs. You're going to break your arms. You'll break yourself. Take things slowly build yourself. It's like your iman. Strengthen it. This is what we need to do. And I think, you know, even with Muslims just generally, without iman, it's something we need to take care of. And you need to strengthen yourself gradually. Take things slowly. That becomes part of you naturally. And a very beautiful hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that the most beloved actions to Allah are those which are done constantly, even if they're small. And if things are done constantly, they become part of you. It becomes natural for you. So then when it becomes natural for you, you know, naturally incline towards that action. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that. So it's better than you just, you know, doing like one whole night of standing up 4 or 5 hours in prayer. It's more preferable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that each night you do a little bit. Even if it's a smaller amount. So I'd definitely say take things slowly. Always ask questions. If you're unsure of something, you know, because your knowledge is very small, especially when you embrace Islam, ask people who do know. Again, that's a very important principle in Islam. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge you don't know. Okay, this is very important.
MashaAllah, thank you for the advice, Sheikh. And I want to ask you, what are actually, for you, the factors that explain the amount of people who are embracing Islam, especially in UK? I mean, I've been reading some articles that talks about 5,000 new Muslim sisters every year who are embracing Islam in UK, and especially actually women are embracing faster than men.
That's right.
According to you, how do you explain this is coming this is becoming a phenomena
Yeah.
to the point that a lot of media are talking about it and they're just interesting about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, it's not something strange.
Of course.
Because what I believe Islam will give you is a sa'ad al-haqiqiyya, will give you true happiness. Because it's an internal happiness, it's a satisfaction. It's not a happiness that relies on money. It's not a happiness that relies on position. It's a happiness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to you, between you and your Lord. So when a person is struggling and fighting in this, this rat race, in this worldly life, and is looking for happiness in this life, because ultimately every single creation on earth is looking for happiness. They don't find it in money, they don't find it in all of these beautiful things that they find in this worldly life. So when they are constantly looking for new phones and new houses and new cars, and it never satisfies the soul.
Right.
So when they come across a way of life which gives you satisfaction without any of these things, you don't need money, you don't need all of these things, you'll find that natural inclination that Allah put in everybody, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they will return to that. Because we believe as Muslims that everyone is created in a natural way, in a pure way. So when they come across something which is pure, that gives you that happiness, you'll be inclined towards it. So this is, I think, as I said, it's not strange for me. It's not strange for me, that when people come across Islam and see it in its pristine and true picture, they can only say this is, a good way of life. It's a good, healthy, clean, pure, loving way of life. Yeah, this is what they should feel.
And this is actually how the people were embracing Islam, the first generation of Sahaba, because
That's right.
when they were seeing those men, mashallah, they were liberating them from oppression.
That's right.
And they wanted to be part of this deen because it was so inspiring and a great character. And
they lived and breathed Islam.
Exactly.
They lived it wasn't a part-time job.
It's like a walking Quran, no? As Aisha was describing the Prophet.
His manners was the Quran, yes. But as Muslims, we need to really make a sacrifice to live and breathe Islam 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a challenge,
It is not something which we can just pick and choose, and we really look at ourselves. We do pick and choose many things. This is the kind of area that I want to really display my Islam, and other times maybe I'll just take a back seat on it, We need to make a sacrifice in all areas. Then you'll find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just make things easier for us.
MashaAllah, Shah, it was great to have you on the show.
Thanks for
I'm
having
looking
me.
forward to your classes in Al-Khafa and all over the world, and in Trinidad and wherever we can meet. And thank you so much for
Jazakallah
this.
khair. May Allah bless you.
May
Barakallahu
Allah bless
feekum.
you. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah. United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah. United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah. United, here we stand. United, here we are. United together. United for Allah.